We got a doubleheader going on in Cincy where Shemar Stewart still not signed, still not reporting in training camp. They are arguing over, as Mike Brown said, he doesn't want to pay him if he goes to jail, is what. So they're haggling over that. Is it more than that, JJ?
No. It's that. It's that. It was a very poor. We'll start with Shemar. Okay. I have some just strong thoughts on this. It is well within Shemar Stewart's rights to buck at not wanting to sign a contract that last year's first round pick Mims did not have, right? It's a clause. And the clause is a very simple one. It is if you do something that defaults on your contract, and Mike Brown went to the extreme level. He probably he didn't need to go there, but just like if you do something bad, if you run afoul of NFL rules, not only typically would your contract guarantees for that year void. That's pretty standard across the league, and that's what it was. But also the entirety of your guarantees across the life of your contract would void. That doesn't mean that you no longer have a contract. That doesn't mean that the Bengals are kicking you out to the curb. That doesn't mean that you can't earn that exact same dollar amount. It just means
not as protected.
That is exactly right. Now, other teams have that exact same language that is evolving, to use a word from Duke Tobin, the de facto general manager of the Bengals. Shemar Stewart saying, look, I don't want to sign this. And not only do I not want to sign this, but I, as a rookie, when I show up, I'm going to sit at the locker and I'm going to say to the Cincinnati Bengals and to owner Mike Brown that they must be more concerned about winning negotiations than winning football games. No one, you don't say that as a rookie. And as soon as you say that, and you say that to someone who I mean this just in the truest sense of the terms, stubborn and hard-headed and as hard negotiating as Mike Brown is, bro, you are not going to get your way. You are not, and you don't have any leverage. You have you're not going back to Texas A&M because you're not suing the NCAA to even get back to Texas A&M to play. That's not happening. They're not trading you because we have established that they're standing on principle. Okay, so you can't
buttons on his suit.
You have nowhere to go, and now your rookie year, you're just going to be worse on the field the longer it takes for you to get onto the practice field with these new peers of yours. This ain't Texas A&M anymore.
No.
So it is. At this point, I understand putting up a fight 2 months ago. I 1,000% understand putting up a fight. I think he put up the wrong fight 2 months ago. And now there's no more fight. The Bengals have the high ground. You don't have any men with you. It's over. You just got to give up.
I would argue you have 52 men with you, and you've got 5,000 other men with you that are coming through middle school and high school and college right now that are going to be signing deals that don't want to sign up for this type of language in a deal. You know, as somebody who's been through the contract negotiation part of a career, it's no fun for anybody. The people that are, signing up to pay it and the people that are signing up to do the contract. Yeah, the money's fun, but like you're signing up for so much stuff. Why put something else on this guy that his teammate Amarius Mims doesn't have to do? And you know what? Even worse than that, if he's Robin, if Shemar Stewart's Robin, his Batman just fled to Boca Raton, Florida. I saw on his Instagram story. Trey Hendrickson, the next guy, we'll talk about, obviously. And I'll finish on Shemar Stewart this. I support you, young man. Fight for your right, okay? Fight for your right to party, as Travis Kelce once said. That's all. That's about all I got to say about that. I'm sure the guys in the locker room support him and say, yeah, that's bullshit. But at a certain point, to your point, he was fighting the right fight a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. Now we're getting into the part where you're not going to be in shape to play. You're not going to be able to help our team. So you might get some guys that avert their gaze from, we support you to, hey, week one opponent. That's where we're at.
And I 1,000% hear you on setting a precedent. There's no doubt at all about that. I think where it comes down to Shemar specifically is because there are some wins in the contract. Every single year, more and more second rounders are getting more guarantees, right? He's getting a higher signing bonus. You can work things to like maybe the signing bonus pays out a little bit more earlier, right? There are ways that you can win in these negotiations, but is this the point that you absolutely have to stand and that monuments will be raised for you, for those folks that are coming after you? I don't think that that's necessarily the case, especially when half the NFL and first round picks have this exact same language. Like the teams are sort of winning in this. And if your response is, well, if I do get in trouble, if I do screw up, I still deserve my money. I don't know that legions of people are ultimately going to back you. Obviously, their response is going to be, don't screw up and do your job. And
Obviously.
Yeah, I think it's optically, it's just not a sticking point where a lot of fans are going to have your back. And I was with a lot of Bengals fans over the course of the weekend who were pretty pissed. They're like, why is he holding it?
Were they saying shut up and dribble in Cincinnati? Is that what they say?
Shut up and work on your pass.
That's the Cincinnati slogan. Shut up and eat your chili dog or whatever.
The obviously the other negotiation probably has a bigger impact on this year is the Trey Hendrickson one, who went down to Florida after negotiations broke up earlier this week. I think the TJ Watt deal that broke at the end of last week or over the weekend had a big factor in this because, you can play the age card with Trey Hendrickson until a guy who's 2 months older than him, TJ Watt gets a $43 million per year deal. Now, all of a sudden, do we think a deal like this gets done? Because Hendrickson probably not the same level as TJ Watt, but has been comparable over the past 2 seasons.
They're different players. They're different players, man. Okay. This guy, Trey Hendrickson, is an absolute assassin off the edge. And anybody who is tasked with pass protecting him, let's call it 35 to 60 times a game, is going to be in a world of hurt. We've seen it statistically from Trey Hendrickson. I have no doubt that he can continue to get the quarterback. But when you run up those numbers in age, your ability to play the run or reinvent yourself as a run stuffer or more of a complete player, you just don't have that ability. This guy, TJ Watt, has been doing it for a very long time. And you know what? His lineage has been doing it for a long time. You go watch JJ Watt, the way that he played, the way he played the run and the pass. That's what a complete player looks like. I'm not saying Trey's not a complete player, but he's not at the level that TJ Watt is, well-rounded in all aspects.
Well, the other issue is this is the team that Trey Hendrickson decided to sign with when he left the New Orleans Saints, right? And everybody knew, and everyone has known since even before Carson Palmer, how they do their deals. They do their deals where you get your first year guaranteed, and that's it. That is what they have always done, and they broke that for Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. They have decided that we're going offense, and we just talked about precedent and all those things. This is what the Bengals have decided, and they're not willing to set a precedent with a 30-plus-year-old pass rusher who is not the sort of complete player that, it's great that the Pittsburgh Steelers want to do that with TJ Watt. That's great that the Cleveland Browns want to do that with Myles Garrett. Not doing it with you. And that is the unfortunate part. I will say this, because I don't know that this has really been touched on a lot. You're talking about a guy who has now brought in about $65 million in career earnings, a man who very much is going to stand on principle, right? Because we both know he could have held in, he could have shown up and just held in and not be fined $50,000 per day. And if this goes into the preseason, he will lose $800,000 for every preseason game that he has not reported on. He has the money. So would he escalate this further to a potential retirement? I don't know that we've gotten there yet, but if he isn't getting what he believes he deserves, and he thinks I'm getting half of what TJ Watt and Myles Garrett are getting, and I am not half of those guys, I'm not going to put my body on the line to be insulted. So I see that as one potential trump card for him.
You know how you prevent yourself from being insulted? You continue to go and turn out sack production like Trey Hendrickson does. And I've had this conversation with Mike a number of times. When you're one of these guys who hangs your hat on getting after the quarterback, when it's 40 years after your career is done, you can look back and say, okay, 92, 78, 105. These are sack numbers. It's what they hang their identities to. It's what they have attached themselves to since they put on a helmet. Trey Hendrickson's no different. Obviously, he deserves to get paid. But I think that a guy like him is going to show up and play because that's who he is. That's what we've seen from him. I understand that he's posturing and it's part of the contract negotiations, and I could be completely wrong. But sack getters, they want to get sacks. That's priceless. It's more important than money. Let me tell you that much.